Hello there, and welcome back to Ears to the East, where Neon is hungover.
Very much.
I'm not even going to hold back. I'm just going straight in.
You know what?
You had a good one, didn't you?
I don't even feel that bad. The worst part was waking up in the hotel room this morning and I needed to go to the toilet and I tried to go from the bed to the toilet and was like still drunk and I'm like, yeah, I'm still pissed.
Did I fucking wake up on a ship? How did I end up asleep?
Yeah. Trying to get to the toilet in the dark and I'm like,
we'll go and stand up and give us a little bit of shirt flex because I can see the t-shirt already. Yeah, I love that.
It's a different one.
RUMKICKS.
Sure.
We said that we were going to go. We said that when we were doing our Ears to the East is all the East thing. We said that we were going to bring in some other countries, and we did talk briefly about RUMKICKS before I posted a thumbnail with a member of RUMKICKS who'd left the band. Don't give a fuck. They keep on changing members. Not my fault. But you did get to see them live. So look. Okay, just so everyone knows, we're not going to dwell on that too much because you've got a whole video coming out. You've got an interview with RUMKICKS, the whole thing. But I wanted to talk to you more about just like the experience because obviously RUMKICKS are like, yeah, they're a punk band. They're about as raw, gritty, and down to earth as you can get. And you were saying to me just before we started that they were playing in like the smallest venue you've ever seen in the historic town of Liverpool.
I was. Yeah, like again, I was really surprised at how small that venue was.
How small is small? Like, how many people are we talking about?
We're talking like probably about 100 people.
That's
that
not...
room could contain about 100 people.
Oh, okay. How many people do you think there were there?
It was pretty full, to be fair. Probably, I wouldn't say the show was like sold out by any stretch. You could definitely get a few more people in there, but all in all,
50 people.
A bit more than that. Way more than that.
That's not too bad, actually. I mean, like, I don't think that's too small at all. I mean, there's plenty of live houses smaller than that.
I mean, when I was talking to the girls, obviously they were saying they were quite disappointed with Liverpool, and I'm upset. I'm upset with the city of Liverpool. They shouted. They actually turned around to me and said that London was quite a bit of a weird one for them and a little bit disappointing. But they said they loved Birmingham. They said Birmingham was absolutely amazing. So there you go. If you want, apparently the punk scene, Birmingham's the place to go at the minute. They also love Birmingham.
I'm going to throw in a little bit of a thought on that. Because there's two things that come to mind. I mean, first of all, obviously, when you're looking at like small bands in the UK, and I think in most countries, it's a known thing, especially if you've got like a geographically a country like the UK. Tends to be if you go to university towns, towns that have universities but are not very populous themselves, then you get like a good crowd because there's not a huge number of alternatives, but there's a lot of young people who are of a gig interested age who want to go out and see something. But I think when you go to somewhere like London or Liverpool, I guess I'm not really surprised because you've just got a lot more choices. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you were saying that the venue you considered to be quite small, and maybe I've been like overly biased by Tokyo live houses, which there's billions, but they're all teeny. But sort of like getting 100 people in, that's a pretty decent sized thing,
But Liverpool, like I'm gonna try and put that into context. When I say it's small, I've been to gigs that are about that size. Like I've been to other venues all around the country.
But you're thinking of like international bands, right? And what bands are you maybe comparing to? Would be my.
I've seen like you just said, international bands. I've seen like Fight Star and In Me and all sorts in like tiny little box rooms. So it doesn't do like bands that sell millions and are worldwide renowned in like a little ass box room. So
that's what I'm so surprised about RUMKICKS in like a venue that does 100.
So when I say like small by comparison, like to give that a little bit of context, I mean small by comparison in Liverpool. Again, because Liverpool's well renowned, we got a really, really good music scene there. Like obviously with the popularities, the Beatles and all that stuff. It's like
but Beatles and all that stuff. Let's just be honest. You're
Jerry and the Peacemakers and
over half a century running off of that legacy. I know.
Oh, come on! The Japanese rock scene is still clinging on to ex-Japan, so let's not go there. Yeah.
Excuse me. Where's that baby metal merch you got back there?
Oh, you mean the flag? I need to put that up again. Every time I put it up, it keeps coming up. But yeah, like in terms of like the gig for Liverpool, I actually thought it was really small. I actually walked in, I was like, holy crap, this is really, really small. But like I said, it filled up pretty quickly. I stayed near the front. There was a nice little mosh pit going as well, which is really, really cool.
I know you got some great videos like of the performance that are going to be going up on your channel and everything. So I mean, I would fully encourage
Yeah,
if you're already a fan of, because you saw two bands, you saw RUMKICKS and another one I'd never heard of, like
18 Fevers, which I was mightily impressed with. It like probably coming away from both those bands. I came for RUMKICKS, but I came away probably really impressed with 18 Fevers, to be honest.
Oh, do you know what? I really want people in the comments to say about this, because who has not had that? You know, when you go for one band and you come away with like, oh wow, this thing. There was just another band playing, and I ended up falling in love with that band. Yeah, I mean that has happened to all of us. I will point out that, by the way, my beloved band who I've been promoting, that was the same thing. The way I found them was because I was there for another band who I was planning to work with, and I found these guys instead. I was like, oh. So yeah, I think I'd love to hear stories of anyone who's had that in the comments as well. But so like, would you say, is this like the smallest overseas band you've seen in Liverpool, or like, do you get a lot of small? Because of course you've got bands like Bandmate, and they're not even like doing any European tour at the moment. I know that's a whole conversation we've had in a separate video, and you know I totally understand the reason, but it's a very complicated conversation about that whole sort of thing. When you're so worldwide, where do you go? But it's interesting because you've got bands like RUMKICKS, and they spent a lot of time in the UK. And do you get a lot of those smaller bands, sort of hitting up places like Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, again, Liverpool's a bit of a weird anomaly because, like I said, we got the stadiums there for the big gigs and stuff like that, and then the music scene around the city is pretty unique, and we have just a ton of underground gig places. So the fact that they picked this one out, I was kind of a bit like, oh, okay. It didn't shock the kind of place that it was. Didn't shock me for it to be a place that they would go. It just shocked me because I kind of walked in and I was like, holy crap, is this it? I was like, is this going to fit everybody?
Really? So you were, because to be honest, I'm expecting. I've seen bands play in places like London who are supposedly really popular, and then they turn up and they're like got 20 people there, and you're like, oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, no, there was loads of people here. The upside to having this really small venue is that the girls just hung out. They stood next to you. They watched the other bands perform. They were outside drinking and smoking, talking, and I had some lovely conversations with managed to talk to pretty much all the acts that night.
Because you're a famous YouTuber. I think you've got more subs than both the other bands you watched put together.
Yeah,
I would love to check that. I don't know if that is true, but I would love to check that. I think you probably got more subs than both the bands you saw put together.
Both the bands. Yeah. Although to be fair, like I said,
stadium.
The one thing I didn't know is like you look at Instagram is, believe it or not, is the big thing for them. Like Year One, just for instance, and RUMKICKS, they got like 50,000 subscribers and followers on like Instagram. But that just hasn't transitioned over to YouTube.
How do you feel about that though? Because to me, this has always been a bit of a paradoxic thing. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about the platform itself because I've had there's a lot of reasons why I don't use Instagram. I used it before, don't use it now. But for me, I always find it very weird when bands go on Instagram, because I know like Instagram has this little video section and everything, but effectively it's just a photo sharing thing. And to me, it's almost like a direct admission that the people who are following, if you've got more people following you on Instagram than any platform, it's more of an admission that people just like to look at you, which is an interesting curiosity for female bands. I know we're back in this territory again, but
I hope they never watch this video now because of that. Thank you for that.
I mean, I guess then again, though, I mean, I was saying a minute ago that I was very surprised that they're selling out like a venue that size, but I guess this is the thing. It's really paradoxic to judge how popular these bands are until you see them arrive. I mean, I saw like there was a famous. Well, the venue became famous for all the wrong reasons. A venue called it ended up being called the O2 in, I think it was the Islington one, and it was this sort of venue that was kind of like the size of like a large Japanese live house, probably get about 50 people in there. And every time it was always like all the international bands, like the Japanese bands who weren't super famous, every time they wanted to play in London, they'd always book this venue because it was clearly cheap to book. And it just, you could get a couple of photographs and say, we performed in London at a venue that sounds official, but without many overheads. I remember one of them was Anne Cafe, who I was not so familiar with at the time, but turned out very popular. They had a lot of fans. And it turned out, I swear to God, the crowd was about 20 people. Yeah, it was really, really small. And, it's like, it was really kind of something quite surprising. And I was there as a journalist at the time, which made it particularly funny because I was one of the crowd. I was a noticeable percentage of the crowd on my own, and I was there as a journalist paid for by an online magazine. So it is very difficult to judge these kind of things. And so many people saying, "Oh, Babe Metal are not as popular as they used to be," and then you look at the stadium and it's like, really? Well, so much to tell these people because I'm pretty sure they ain't agreeing with that.
Yeah, it turns around to 100,000 people. Not popular. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so yes, these people are all lost. Like, no. We have experiences that way.
So, yeah,
it's hard to judge, though, isn't it?
It is hard to judge, but no, I was really impressed. Like, again, my initial thoughts were, oh, shit, this is small. But then after, it was just a really, really good time. Like I said, there was people dancing, there was a bit of a mosh pit, there was people rocking out. Having the small venue was really, really kind of cool. Talk to the girls. Like I said, I managed to get an interview with RUMKICK. I tried to get one with 18 Peavers as well. But I think I just ran out of time. But by the time I was doing RUMKICKS, was just like right at the end of the night.
That's pretty cool though that you managed to get an interview, and I'm looking forward to seeing that as well because I've heard a lot about their personalities, and I've heard a lot of their personalities through their songs as well. So as long as you didn't touch their spikes, that's the most important thing.
Yes, no, I didn't get the opportunity to touch the spikes. So
I was going to actually say though, one of the things that intrigued me on that whole subject, sorry, pull that lead. One of the things that intrigued me about that whole subject of the audience is, do you think, based on your knowledge of the venues around there and what you saw, do you think this was kind of one of those venues where everyone was there was like a RUMKICKS or an 18 Fevers fan, or do you think it was one of those things where it's just a venue where people go because they want to hear interesting bands? And so, if like they say, oh, there's a band from Korea, people will be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go see that band for Korea. I mean, like, I got this poster that's currently up because of my Patrons. And so this is for Silent Siren, who obviously a pretty big band in Japan back in the day. And this is from their 2017 tour. And as you can see, it literally says, a very popular Japanese girl band, Silent Siren, will be coming back to the United States. Do not miss this live performance. You can just tell this is clearly designed for people who have no idea what they're going to see. Just like, look, they're popular, they're Japanese. If you like music, just come along and see it. It's clearly the gig is not directed at established fans, but getting new fans. So what did you think like on that front?
I would say there was a good mixture. There's actually one guy that made me laugh. But I would say there was a good mixture. There was definitely people there that was there for.
Why did he make you laugh? You can't just leave that one hanging.
I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. Oh. Patience, my young Padawan. You got to build it up.
You calling me young makes me feel very special.
But yeah, there was half the people there that was like purely there for RUMKICKS. You could tell they were all wearing their shirts. They were there for the RUMKICKS. They knew the songs. They knew the choreography. They knew the shouts. They were there. Then there was definitely the other half that was like purely there for the alcohol and to see what they were watching this night. And then there was one guy, and shout out if he ever sees this video, shout out to you because you were an absolute legend. But he was in Liverpool, and he was into punk, and he had just gone out and done like a full shop. So he had like 18 bags of like shopping. So obviously he was supposed to be walking home with these 18 bags of shopping, walk past the venue, like, picked up because he realized he heard the music, and ended up going to the gig with 18 bags of fucking shades.
Have you ever been in a guy that's like, all right, I need the cloakroom, I need you to like locker room some stuff. Do you have a freezer? No,
there was he managed to get them behind the bar for most of the night, but I just thought it was hilarious like after the gig, he just comes out of the gig at 2
legendary.
o'clock in the morning with like 18 bags of fucking food. That's probably gone off because he's been there for 6 hours.
And was it the two bands or was there more? Because I mean,
There was
if you
more.
ran
There was 4 bands there.
okay.
Don't ask me what the other 2 were called because honestly,
Okay.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
Were they like overseas bands though?
No, I believe one was local Liverpudlian band, and another one was a English kind of punk band as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Um,
interesting. Because like
the
RUMKICKS by their nature are kind of like there's a lot of, you know, they clearly like the history and the image of classic British punk. You know, they embody it with their spiky
well,
hair and studs and things. Yeah, they are
the
students of this school of thinking.
yeah, there's the two acts that were on, ironically were like kind of they were punk, but they were like not your when you think of punk, you think like you said, spiky hair, like fuck the government,
I don't know. I
all
don't
that
know
kind
if
of
that's
crap.
necessary. I think that's like
When
for
I
me,
think of
that's almost like a
British punk,
stereotype
yeah.
rather than most punk bands. I don't feel are actually like that.
Oh well, oh now you put me in a fucking loophole now because now I'm going to
No,
say they
I'm
weren't
intrigued by how
they
you see
weren't
that.
yeah they weren't your traditional punk bands and it was I think there was the lead singer to one of them. I'm sure like she was about 80 years old. And I tell you what, she had some pipes on her. But there was like sax and everything going off. You know, it was crazy. It was
You
quite
got a
good
bit
to watch.
scar. Got a bit scarred in it.
Um, I have no idea. Again, I'm not even going to pretend to know the majority of those 2 acts. And the reason why we missed
Okay.
it is the first act that was on. Me and Rev went for some beers and stuff like that. We were like, oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
they were local
point
Liverpoolian
out.
band. No,
Neon was
no
with
interest.
a channel follower favorite of ours, Rev.
Hi
Went to
Rev.
go with you. The man who always goes into both of our streams and always requests 2-minute long punk songs. So we
Yeah,
have
it
to
was
give him an extra shout out when everyone else is suggesting 4-minute songs and all of his songs are like sub 90 seconds. We have to give him extra shout out and extra love. His
Thank you,
genre
Joe.
tastes give him less time in the reaction spotlight.
Yeah, and like I said, so me and Rev just had a few more beers at that point because again, local band, not really too interested.
Yeah.
The second band that came on, again, can't remember their name. We didn't see them. We were outside chatting to both the girls from RUMKICKS and 18 Fevers. So we went in when they performed, and then we ended up chatting to them pretty much all night when the other bands were on. So we saw 2 acts again, which was the Korean girls, and missed the other 2 acts pretty much. And like I said, we did catch a little bit of the granny one, and that was only because we went in a little bit earlier, so I could get to the front for.
And how long did each band get on stage? I mean, what kind of set lengths are we talking about here?
I'd say it was about 50 minutes each.
Wow. Okay, so they were like, you know, they were really getting like full ons.
Yeah. You got like 2 albums worth of songs.
Well, I was going to say because this is one of the big difference with Japanese venues is like the turnover tends to be there's like so many bands and so many things that if you see an event where there's 4 bands, you tend to find that those bands are not going to get more than like sort of maximum 40 minutes, probably 30 minutes a piece.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to sort of turn because I mean, like I went to which one was it? I think it was the Caramel Candid. I might be. No, it wasn't actually. I think it was another one. But I went to one show here, and it was kind of like around sort of afternoon, evening time. You sort of one you go to after work. You know, sort of starts around 6 o'clock, and then they get like the 4 bands on. They cycle through, and then everything's finished by 9 o'clock. Yeah, okay, fair enough. And then while the bands are like sort of closing everything up, they're setting up the next stage. Like they got a whole separate event about to start at like 10 o'clock directly after this. And you can see they got 2 events per night, each with multiple bands. So I think the turnover rate here is very high, which sometimes robs you of longer set lists if you're going to see a smaller band.
Yeah, but I didn't feel shortchanged at all. It was a really good set. I mean, by the time RUMKICKS was done, like literally, I had no more energy left. That tiny room. Like I said, it got like it was like a sauna by the
So
time,
can I
like
just
halfway through the
this
rum
this
kicks.
this is coming from the man. I had no energy left. You haven't you've barely stopped since the gig. It's like the next day, and you're coming back now, and you've just come back and started recording Ears to the East. So I don't know how much of energy you have now. I'm in fact surprised that you're actually animated. So
Well, this is probably the most unanimated I'm probably ever going to be. Even now, I look ill. I'm just like bed. I need bed, coffee, and sleep, and a night to recover. I'm not as young. I'm not as young as I was when I could like go out and then go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, do like a full day shift, and then I'll be all right. But yeah,
the trick is not to sleep.
The trick is not to sleep.
Because then your body goes, oh shit, what did we do?
Well, the worst part. Well, I was quite lucky because otherwise I would have been suffering from a really bad hangover. But I went to bed, but like I said, woke up a couple of hours later, and I was obviously still drunk. So I woke up and my body didn't even have time to give me a hangover that much yet.
I've got to get my head around this, right? So like what? So you were all kicking out like 3 a.m. and you went back to like your hotel. So what time did you get back to your hotel?
I'd say probably about 2, half 2 in the morning.
And what time was kick out for the hotel? Is this like one of those like 10 a.m.
Oh, it was 10 a.m. But I was at the hotel by 8 because
because you had to come all the way home.
Oh
my god! So you came home at 2 o'clock after you kicked out to. Jesus Christ! Okay, so you only got a few hours, but at least you got some sleep.
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did get some sleep.
You are a wiser man than your younger counterpart would have been. Your younger counterpart wouldn't have achieved that. So I think the signs of wisdom are there nonetheless.
But yeah, like I said, waking up and trying to go to the toilet and then realizing I'm still drunk. That was the main thing. My body, I obviously didn't have enough time to sleep for like the hangover or to kick in properly. The first thing I did is I went to McDonald's and I got myself a large vanilla milkshake and a double espresso, and I just poured the double espresso into the vanilla milkshake, and the woman at the till was just looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like, if you which is saying out, something. You haven't been working here long enough.
yeah, which is saying something when the woman in McDonald's in Liverpool, may I add, is looking at you like that. But I was just like,
graduated to Glasgow.
Also, by the way, if you've never done that, large vanilla milkshake, double espresso, put it in the milkshake, stir it, fucking great thing ever.
I was just going to say one of the best ones I know.
Thank me later.
If you get a milkshake, any milkshake, and you pop vodka in it, it's actually surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. Milkshake and vodka does work. But that has kind of the opposite effect of the thing I think you were going for. But yeah, no, I think that all sounds to me, it really sounds like you had a good time there. But I'm kind of intrigued. So with this kind of thing, do you often see a lot of adverts around Liverpool for overseas bands playing in Japan? Because obviously you went to see this band, I'm assuming partly because, of course, you know the community, you know, this kind of thing. Is there a because I haven't been in the UK for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Is there a strong scene of, at least in your area, obviously Liverpool being, you know, quite culturally, you know, well known? Do you have a strong scene of overseas artists, or is that still like not a thing? I don't know how many of these artists are really touring
50,
like this.
I'm going to say 50-50. I like, in terms of RUMKICKS, did I see any advertising whatsoever for them? No, nothing, nada. If it wasn't for what I do on a daily basis, I probably would never have known they existed.
That sounds about right to what I'd expect.
Yeah, so on that terms, no. If you're thinking on like, I don't know, bandmate terms or anything like that, and they came, they probably would get a way better venue and probably be advertised a hell of a lot better.
It's a big venue. You're going to see like the signs and stuff. Yeah. You know, like half the time you walk past those signs and pay no attention. But if it's a band, you know, your eye is going to be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of that, I would say for sure. In terms of overseas bands, well, it depends what it means by overseas. Just like anybody internationally, or just like specifically from Asia.
I guess I was throwing the net a little bit broad there to give you a bit of room to kind of, you know, sort of throw in other things, because I don't really know if many European bands really tour like that either. It's very hard for me to quantify.
Yeah, I mean,
actually, I had a really
for example, I've seen like adverts for like Trivium playing in Liverpool and stuff like that, like everywhere. So
where Trivium are from. Where Trivium from?
America.
Okay. I didn't even think about
lead,
America.
yeah, the lead singer is half Japanese as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I should actually probably listen to Trivium at some point, but who knows? Maybe.
So yeah, really good band.
I had this weird realization. I think it was actually this morning. You know that whole thing about like every cell in your body like is replaced in the sort of space about 7 or 8 years.
Yes.
I just realized that probably means that by now there's not a cell in my body that's ever been to England.
Wow.
Think about that, people. What has happened to my identity? I am torn from my roots like a potato being pulled from the ground.
You're a brand new person.
Terror. There you go. And on that happy note, yeah, so basically I'm really looking forward to seeing, I mean, especially the interview, because like I can't wait to just see you hanging out with RUMKICKS together.
It's short. It's a short and sweet one. I mean, I got to give props to the girls for that, because they, like I said, they were being kind of rushed to go to the next stuff. And when we got shoot out the venue in the end, so they stopped and literally took their time. They didn't have to, but they did. So it's not like the most amazing. I wouldn't say it's the most amazing interview in the world, but it is a quick 5 minute.
Sell it harder.
Like
20,000 subs. It's the best.
It was a great little 5 minute interview. The girls are really, really nice.
You're the Michael Parkinson of Korean punk.
It was just really, really nice that they said. It was just really, really nice that they said yes. Like I said, I spoke again. A big shout out to 18 Fevers, because they were amazing. And I did ask them if they'd do an interview, and they did say yes. But unfortunately, unfortunately, time just flew by.
Catch up with them online.
I probably will do
after the event interview.
I would love to chat to them again. So I might try and chase them up and be like, hey, do you still want to do that or anything? But I probably had the choice of doing either them or RUMKICKS at the end of the gig. And obviously the whole reason why I was there in the first place was to go and watch RUMKICKS. So
I really wish you'd pick your verbs better. Interviewing, not doing. Anyway,
that's it. No, I don't know what you're on about. You're trying to correct me, but that's exactly what I meant.
Well, now we know why you booked that hotel. Anyway, so on that shocking revelation and the fact that we've now realized that I was technically cellularly born probably somewhere in the Philippines, I am going to say a big thank you to Neon for fielding all these questions. Yeah, do check out 18 Fevers as well. I've been hearing a lot of it. I haven't heard them myself, been hearing a lot of good things about them if you're into that kind of thing.
Again, I'm trying to like do this whole episode today with like some gravitas and energy, but honest to God, I'm just like,
that's why I'm doing the wrap up, Neil, and I can see you're about to like just sort of face plant the desk. So everyone, remember all the YouTube stuff that guy would usually say. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember to follow his channel if you want to see those interviews. Now, he's going to be giving us a report on the gig as well. There's lots of exciting things to see. He's got some cool footage of the show as well, and you can enjoy it all on Neon Reaper or not. It's totally up to you. And of course, I'll be here just waffling as normal. So thank you so much for joining us here in, well, Japan and England. And until we see you next time, it's time for you to remember to keep your ears to the east. That way.